30 to 45 seconds, we'll get started here. So bear with me, and we'll be ready to go here shortly. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We want to kind of introduce everybody to IAC, kind of give them some background on the company. So what we did is we got together with the Vice President and the Chief Marketing Officer, a guy by the name of Scott Dunball. He's going to be on here. He's got some questions that we have been asked about the company, so we sent them off to him, and he's going to try and address those issues. And then also we have some underwriting questions. Hopefully Kristen Gartner from the home office or the back office will be there to answer our underwriting questions, and then we will move through here and try to have you in and out of here so everybody can get back to work. So with that said, kind of talk a little bit about what we want to talk about, different topics today. We want to introduce you, of course, as we just said, to IAC, go over some frequently asked questions, show you a map of where this product is available, both pending and already accepting business, discuss how the household discount works, and give you the different ways to submit new business. And then at the end, we have a contact sheet that you're more than happy we can get to you should you want it. Over on the right-hand side of your screen, you always have a drop-down menu to where you can type questions in as we move through the webinar. If you have those, go ahead and get those in. We'll read those back at the end. So without too much more to do, let's go ahead and get into these questions the agents have asked us. Scott, I'm going to just go ahead and introduce you again. Guys and gals, this is Scott Dunball. He is the Vice President, Chief Marketing Officer for IAC, and I'm just going to put all the questions that we had gotten in here, and I'll let Scott address those as we move through here. So Scott, if you would, kind of address these questions, and then we will move right along.
Yeah, I sure will, Bill. Thanks very much, and thanks everybody. Good morning. I appreciate the opportunity to spend a little bit of time today and introduce IAC. And the first question is, what does IAC stand for? And it stands for Individual Assurance Company. So if you're out there looking for financial information and you type in IAC and come up with a video game company, try Individual Assurance Company, and you'll end up with us. As Bill said, this is kind of a collection of questions that both from Bill's standpoint and from my standpoint we've heard, and we certainly want to equip you all with as much information about IAC as possible to make you comfortable in working with us, and also making your clients comfortable. There are a lot of faces and names in the insurance scene out there, and you need to rest assured that IAC is well grounded in the business, has been around for quite a while, and is ready and willing and excited about this opportunity. So I'm just going to read these questions and then address it. Number one, can you tell the IAC story? How did we get started? What product lines? What have we offered in the past? IAC began doing business in the early 50s as an insurance agency. So we've been distribution focused from the very beginning, an insurance agency doing business with financial institutions. The founder was a gentleman named Robert Stroud, a scrappy entrepreneurial sales guy who decided early on that there was a real opportunity in trying to market insurance and other financial protection products through banks. So for 17 years, Rob fought the good fight as an insurance agency, and then in the early 70s decided it was probably time to join the carrier side as well. So in 1973, Individual Assurance Company was chartered as a Missouri domicile insurance company. So there's been a lot of years and a lot of time since then. Today we operate in have certificates of authority in 43 states, the District of Columbia. The 7 states we're not in, basically take New England and kind of carve that out. That's the area we're not involved in, and we're also doing business in Guam, Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands in the Pacific, the Federated States of Micronesia, American Samoa, and have active business in the Pacific. As I said before, traditionally we focused on bank product lines, but just within the last 5 years have undergone ownership change and restructuring. I joined the company in 2011. And today our areas of focus are really on three things. Number one would be program business underwriting, and this Medicare supplement program is a perfect example. Specialty group programs, that goes back to the Pacific business I was talking about. And then using our capital to do block insurance acquisitions and administration. So, the leadership team of IAC is very, very focused, as our moniker says, focused on what matters most. We're very focused on a small handful of businesses that we have confidence in. Our leadership team has lots of experience. I've been in the business for over 20 years now, primarily in the distribution side. Our CEO and our Chief Operating Officer have both spent time in leadership roles of companies focused primarily on life, health, and annuities, and our COO has a depth of experience at a regional Medicare sup underwriting company that I'm sure you're all familiar with, but who shall go nameless, and it's what he did for a long time. So we're excited about that, the opportunity here. We think it's a natural offshoot of IAC's history, and we're really excited about it. Question 2. Is it true that IAC has about $4 billion of in-force premium currently? By any standard, that's a big number. Where did that premium come from? Well, let's divide $4 billion of face amount of insurance from $4 billion of premium. We hope eventually to get to $4 billion of premium, but the $4 billion is in face amount. So what that says is we're not the biggest kid on the block, which is certainly okay with us, because we would much rather be an insurance company that can be nimble, that can be responsive, and be in a position to really drive growth and respond to both customer and field needs in a nimble manner, as I said. Where does most of that business come from? For now, it still comes, a lot of that from that legacy bank business, but primarily group life insurance programs and some supplemental business that we do as well. But we intend for MedSup to be one of our premier lines of business right there with those other two. Number 3, with IAC introducing a MedSup plan in over 40 states, what's the long-term goal for IAC? What agents always worries about is, will you be here next year, and are you going to take big rate increases? That's a great question. So, the way I approach this, the way IAC approaches this, is just go back to those, three key businesses that I talked about: the program business, which includes MedSup, the specialty group underwriting, and the block administration. We really see a particular amount of opportunity in the senior market and affinity markets, and we know it's important to diversify our sources of business. One of the reasons that we decided to get out of the bank line of business, essentially, or kind of put that on the back burner, was we saw increasing regulation, and banks are just distracted. The real growing marketplace in this country is and will continue to be the senior market. So we think that this is a great place, a really great place to start. Now, in those 3 lines of business, we have some natural diversification, but we're going to continue to focus our work in those areas and be able to intentionally grow the senior market in a manner that doesn't result in outsized rate increases for the market. It's our hope, and of course a lot of this depends upon results, that we want to be very, very measured in any rate increase that we take. We know that it's going to be to the long-term benefit of the company and long-term benefit to distributors to be measured about it, and that's our plan, is to do that. And that's another reason why we're really teaming up with some very experienced partners from an administration standpoint, from a reinsurance standpoint, and a distribution standpoint, because we know that it takes experience and it takes a lot of good sense about the market, and we've really been particularly, I think, in tune with the demands of the market right now, with a lot of new entrants, a lot of moving parts right now. So I think we've got some good advice in building out this program, and it's going to keep everybody in pretty good shape. Question number 4. Scott, right now There's a lot of competition in the marketplace. We've seen several carriers jumping into the med-sup industry in the past 2 years. What sets IAC apart from the rest, and what would you tell an agent who's looking to do business with IAC? That's another great question. And once again, I think it goes back to being focused, number one, and being nimble. You know, one thing that I think the entire IAC management team has realized is that it's really important to be, to the greatest extent possible, easy to do business with at every turn. And we really want to focus and work hard at being easy to do business with. I know that med-sup agents and senior market agents are not going to be bashful about letting us know when we're not easy to do business with, and we want to know that. And we want to be able to make the changes that we need to make to be able to be easy to do business with. Like I said before, we've got a load of experience in our management team. So I think you'll get you know, a pretty quick take and hopefully a refreshing take on things from us, because there's not a lot that between us and our partners that we haven't seen, and I think we've got a pretty good sense about the market. Question 5. Do you think IAC will get into other product lines catering to the senior market, let's say dental, vision, hearing plan, or possibly indemnity or cancer plan? Well, I think the answer to that is a flat out yes. If I had to choose, I'd say we'd probably see us in the indemnity cancer supplemental market in fairly short order. And we may partner with some other people in the dental, vision, hearing area, because I think, you know, a lot of that's just kind of a different skill set. But as I said before, our focus is on the senior market, and will continue to be on the senior market, and trying to drive value in maybe some non-estate planning, high face amount, high premium products. We think there's a lot more opportunity in the senior middle market. You've got a lot better distribution coverage. You've got a lot better diversification of risk from an insurance company standpoint, and frankly, you just got a lot more consumer demand in that world, and that's where we want to be. Question 6. Bill, I haven't confused you yet or anything, have I?
No, I'm trying to get an app in because I got to start talking again here in a minute.
Okay, good. Question number 6. This is painful. You currently have a B+ rating with AM Best. When you sit down with AM Best, what do they want to see in order to maintain your rating with AM Best? What does the company have to do to improve it? Agents often ask the rating of the company, but many of them may not know what goes into attaining a high B+ or above rating. Can you shed some light on that? Now, that is a loaded question, I will tell you right now. I don't know who submitted that one. I'd love to talk to that person. That sounds like somebody else. That sounds like an insurance carrier plant. First of all, I'd say 2 things. I said if you can find the answer to those first 2 questions, is what is Best looking for and what do you have to do to improve it, become a consultant to insurance companies, you'll be able to charge a lot of money to get that answer. So just do that right now. But no, seriously, in our experience, rating agencies generally want to see 3 things. Okay, number 1 is a business plan. Number 2 is capital. Number 3 is results. And they want to see all 3. If you have a lot of capital with no plan and no results, you're not going to get a rate increase. If you have a plan with no capital, you're not going to have results. You just have a plan. So you got to have all 3. And pretty easy, not really, because you know plans are a dime a dozen, as you all know. Excess capital is a dream for most insurers, particularly right now in a I'd say low interest rate environment. Although I have to say our risk-based capital for IAC is more than adequate. And results take time. I mean, you got to execute. So there's no magic formula, but plan of capital results, that's what they're looking for. I think in the last 3 years, or at least since I've been with IAC, our CEO Jim Harlan has done a really good job. You know, speaking on behalf of IAC, certainly not speaking on behalf of Best, of outlining and executing our plan is shared with AM Best. You know, insurance companies need to be you know, nimble. We need to be responsive to the markets that we operate in. So plans don't necessarily always go according to plan, but I think one of the things that we do well is respond to changes in the marketplace, and I think we do a good job of that. So you know, it's probably only a matter of time, without making any predictions, that we will break through that next rating barrier, and you'll see an A, or something along that line. So I think that takes care of, unless Bill, you've had any additional questions, or just a couple other follow-up items I'd like to say. Are there any additional
No, you might just address where IAC's headquarters is at. I know you guys have recently located to Oklahoma.
That's a good idea. Didn't cover that. We started as a Missouri domiciled insurance company, but we recently redomesticated, moved our headquarters from Kansas City to Oklahoma City. So you will see now that IAC is an Oklahoma domiciled insurance company. Oklahoma's regulatory environment is favorable. We've got, I think, a good relationship, good working relationship, and a respectful relationship with the Department of Insurance and Commissioner in the state of Oklahoma. They've been very gracious in accepting our redomestication, and we're mutually excited about IAC's growth plans. One of the things that we are working on, that I'm personally working on right now, is rebranding, and I would say a relaunch of IAC's public face. Our current CEO and now 100% owner, Jim Harlan, is an actuary by background. He's been in business for 45 years as the leader of the life and annuity business for Horace Mann Insurance. He was the president of John Deere Life. He was the president of Chase Insurance, where I met Jim, which was the firm that former Reserve Life in North America, and is just a very entrepreneurial guy. So in the course of Jim getting outright control of the company with an investment group that he had been a part of earlier, after Robert Stroud was bought out, we're in the process of kind of relaunching the brand, the image, and the face of IAC. So within the next hopefully 30 to 60 days, you will see a relaunched IAC website. You'll see much more of a brand presence out there that I think will help you all in cementing a favorable image for IAC among your customers. But as I said before, there's an awful lot of strong partners standing behind IAC and beside IAC in this marketing effort. So I want you to rest assured that we've got top drawer partners operating this. That's all I have. I appreciate the time. I certainly appreciate everyone's business. I appreciate you looking and considering the IAC value proposition. And if there are any questions I can answer at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me or through Bill Ellsworth or any of his team members. Bill, I appreciate the time.
Thanks, Scott. Great job. I appreciate you addressing those issues, because we have, these are not just questions we made up. These were questions that actually came in from agents when we first started launching the IAC opportunity. And guys, we picked the time to launch, which is a tough time to launch any new product right in the middle of AEP. But I think what you're going to find when you take a look at IAC's availability map that we will show you here in just a second, so we can get the product really, we got it on the tracks. What we really want to do now is see it pick up steam in 2015. It's hard to believe that 2014 is almost over, but IAC is well positioned to become a strong competitor when you look into 2015, 2016, and beyond. So, great company. Been dealing with their management team and in their home office, just down-to-earth people, easy to do business with, eager to solve problems when they arise. And guys, that's important in any business, regardless of what you're doing. Trying to get through to IAC is pretty easy. Try to get through to AARP and see the comparison. But you guys know what I'm talking about. So, we now have we've been asked some questions about underwriting. Tristan, are you on there yet?
Yes, I am.
Okay, guys, I want to introduce to you a young lady by the name of Tristan Gartner. She's in our TPA office in Salt Lake City, Utah. Scott mentioned picking good partners, and when I'm talking about a good partner, you won't find any better than that in Salt Lake City. I've been doing business with those guys since 1989. I continue to do business with them. They will help you solve problems when they arise. They will take care of not only you, the agents, but they will take very good care of your policyholders, and without making you jump through hoops when it comes to doing those types of issues. And just a great, great team. So Jose Brito is the head underwriter out there. He's in charge of all the underwriting decisions. He has chosen Kristen as his, I would say right-hand man, but I'd have to say right-hand lady, and she's doing a great, great job. So Kristen, I'm going to go ahead and pop these questions up there just like I did for Scott, and if you would go ahead and address those, we would, I'll just be quiet again, and then we will try to get these guys back to work.
Okay. All right, so the first question is about the Express app, how it works, and how it would save them time. Basically, you just call into our tele-underwriting department. You just simply mention that you're calling in to do an Express app. They'll ask for your agent number to get it started, so have that ready. We'll go through a list of questions with you as the agent as far as what plan you're wanting, what effective date you want to have, and that sort of thing. Then we'll get the applicant on the phone. We'll gather all of their personal information, go through their current policy information, and then the medical questions. We'll read a brief HIPAA statement to them over the phone, get their authorization for that right over the phone. And then once we get all the medical questions answered, we'll run their prescription check, review any of their medications with them, so you'll want to make sure they have their medications ready. At that point, if we determine that they qualify, we'll move on to the premium information. And the premium does have to be paid by bank draft on an Express app, so they want to make sure they have their bank routing number and account number handy. And then once we get the banking information, we'll just finish up with a final agreement and acknowledgement statement. At that point, we'll get a policy number for you. The average phone call is about 20 minutes long. And we'll have a decision for you right at the end of the call with a policy number. And then they get their cards in the mail, and about the regular 5 to 7 business day mail time. If we do have any concerns, we'll also address those right then during the phone call if we need to gather more information or anything like that. So it's a quick response right during the same phone call. And the average turnaround time as far as once we do the Express app and get that policy in the mail is about 1.5 days. So it's mailed out pretty immediately. So that certainly saves time as far as, instead of having to wait for a paper application. Which kind of leads into the next question, which is submitting paper applications. The average turnaround time for a paper application is about 3 to 4 days. And that's, compared to the Express app, which I mentioned is about 1.5. So it's still a pretty quick turnaround time. And of course, that's a clean application, no missing signatures or anything like that. As far as the 2-year look back for conditions, it is going to kind of vary depending on the condition, of course. The heart conditions, congestive heart failure would be the one exception. If they've had that, regardless of when they were diagnosed, that's always going to be a decline. But a lot of the other heart conditions, irregular heartbeats, coronary artery disease, that sort of thing, as long as the diagnosis itself was over 2 years, at that point we're just going to look at stability of the condition. So if their medications have stayed the same, we'll look at their frequency of doctor's visits, and as long as they're not diabetic, we don't want to have those comorbidities together. So if there is no diabetes and the heart condition is stable based on, like I said, the medications and the doctor's visits, then that is something that could possibly be acceptable. Other situations such as cancer, we do have to, just make sure they've been cancer-free for 2 years. So if they've been cancer-free for 2 years, they would be acceptable. Maintenance medications are okay. There are some conditions like breast cancer. They're going to be on maintenance medications for 5 years following remission, and those are acceptable as long as the cancer itself has been in remission for at least 2 years. So the 2-year period, for the most part, and most of the conditions, we're going to be looking at that stability, looking at medication and dosage changes and that sort of thing. But of course, if you have a specific case, always you can call into our tele-underwriting department and run it by us, so we can do a brief pre-qualification for you and make sure if it's worth your time getting the applicant on the line to do the interview or not. As far as rate increases, I may have Bill jump in on this one. The way I understand it is if it's within the first year, their premium will stay the same. If there was a rate increase during that year, then that rate increase would just go into effect on their after the 1 year is over. Bill, is that correct?
That is correct. They got a 1-year rate lock on a new piece of business, and then any other rate increase would be after that. So, what we're trying to do, guys, is do a good job on our underwriting, which Tristan and her team do. And by underwriting, if we can get at least 75 to 80% of these apps underwritten, that's definitely important to any company, not just IAC, as to maintaining very, very manageable below-trend rate increases.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. And then the next one is if an agent is missing information on a submitted application, what is the communication process to the agent to let them know what is missing? That's handled through our new business department or our policy issue department. And for the most part, they will email is their first point of contact. If you prefer phone call, you can always let them know, and they can try and flag your agent number that's your preferred method of contact. But our go-to method of contact for those is going to be email. And we'll give you a couple opportunities. We'll email you a couple of times letting you know what's going on. If it's a situation where we're missing information from the applicant, like they're not able to give us information about their medications, we'll call the applicant directly on that. And then if we need assistance from you, at that point we usually call you just so we can try and get that taken care of quicker. But as far as missing information on the application itself, the method of contact usually is email. And we do not post it on the agent website. We just email you directly. And then phone interviews, I'm going to assume this question is relating to paper applications being sent in. We do phone interviews occasionally on those. They are not random. They're not due to the age either. It's actually based on the medications. Of course, like I mentioned, we run a prescription history check, and we will compare the information we get on the history check with the medications that the applicant had listed on their application. If there are any discrepancies on that, or if there's maybe a condition or medication that needs some more follow-up questions or clarification, that's when we will call out. So the call-outs are made directly for specific questions related to medications or medical conditions.
Tristan, I have a real quick question. Let's say an app comes in on paper and it says no medications. Do you still run a medication check on that to verify that?
We do, yes. We will still run a medication check. Yeah, and that will be one of those cases where if medications do come up and they didn't list any on their application, that would be an opportunity that we would call the applicant and just try and get some clarification on that.
Great.
And then how many underwriters do you have working on submitted business? If an agent needs to talk to an underwriter, do they have the ability to do so? We do have our underwriting department right now. We have 13 underwriters. So we have quite a bit of availability. And during AEP, we do have a couple people set aside for backup. So if we see the queue getting a little too high, we do have a couple extra people that we can get on there. So you shouldn't have too much of a hold time. And you can talk to an underwriter at any point. Just call our tele-underwriting line, and we'll be happy to not only take express apps, but also just answer any general questions that you may have or any pre-qualification questions you may have. And we're open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can call us anytime between then. And,
fantastic. So I think that was, no, there was one more. I thought there was. I didn't hit the X button. There's one more there, Tristan.
Okay, let's see. I understand that the express application process may be updated very soon to an even simpler process. Can you give agents a teaser to how this would work? Bill, do you know, is this talking about the online?
Yes, that's what that's referring to.
Yeah, so we do have an online application that we are hopefully going to be releasing. I can't say exactly when that would happen. But it is definitely in the thought process and in testing phases. But what that would be is you would go on the agent website and you'd be able to fill out a good portion of what we do during our express application. There's actually 3 whole sections that we took from the Express application, and we'll post it online for the agent to fill out. So you would just fill that in online and hit submit. Once you hit submit, it gets uploaded to our system over here, and we have a couple underwriters that will be dedicated to that line. And as soon as an application gets submitted, almost immediately, or we're hoping at least within this first hour or so, we'll turn around and get a call out made to your client and just finish up that application with their portion, which would include, the medical section, banking information, and then the final agreement and acknowledgement. And that cuts down the interview to about 12 to 15 minutes is what we're hoping. So it'll cut it down quite a bit. And then once we have a decision, we'll just email you, letting you know whether it was approved and with the policy number, or what the decision was on that application. And one of the benefits to that is the way we're doing it, it would get rid of the paper replacement form being required. On the regular Express applications, we do still require that the paper replacement form be submitted with wet signatures. But on the online process, you'd be able to just fill that out online, and it would be an online signature, and so that would get rid of that form. So that would be a good benefit to that as well.
And where we're using that process right now, Tristan, I was talking to Jose just the other day, and he said he's getting a lot of good feedback on how that process is working. So with that said, guys, IAC, it'll probably be after the first of the year sometime before we introduce it, because there's a tremendous amount of programming that goes into that. But I've got some inside track on how that is working, and I'm telling you, it's going to be something that works not only for the guys working out of the call center, but even a guy that maybe is doing face-to-face selling. You stop and think about that. If you're a guy that writes a paper app and you take it back and do it the old-fashioned way, either upload it or fax it or maybe even hard mail it, you're going to be, like Tristan said, you're going to be 4 or 5, maybe 6 days, depending on, if you mail it on Friday, well, then you got the weekend, and so there's no business transpiring on the weekend. But if you take that home that night and upload it, or not upload it, but go to the online Express application, enter that, you'll knock off 2 or 3 days of turnaround time. I guarantee it, just because they sweep that account every 5 minutes when during business day hours. So it's going to move your application up in the underwriting versus a hard mail. It'll actually probably be underwritten if you were versus mailing, and it'll be underwritten before the mail got to Salt Lake City. So great process. We're getting tremendous feedback from it, and I know you guys will like that process. So I believe, Tristan, that was it. If you want to get back to work, I know you've got plenty to do during AEP. We really appreciate you joining us. You did a great job. And I'll go ahead and cover the rest of this, and if they have questions, I'll get those answered. If I can't answer them, I'll get them out to you. So, Tristan, we do thank you.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
Not a problem. Okay,
Bye-bye.
guys, let's take a look at the state availability map here for what we are talking about. You can see IAC is going to cover a large majority of the United States by the time all these processes are filed and the pending cases are approved. But if you look at the map, we've had countless calls for a product in California. And I don't know if Scott's still on there or not, but at any time you want to chime in, Scott, just interrupt me. But we are going to file a product in California. We have a product filed in Minnesota, Wisconsin. So that's a playground we haven't played in as far as a marketing company here on our end of it. So those products, I know I talked to Cindy just a few minutes ago. She's in the middle right now of getting the comp grids all signed out and ready to go. So we know those states will be going from blue to green here in the very near future. Missouri, Georgia, still pending. And so we got a very good offering for you. So if you have any questions on state availability, give us a call. There will be a contact sheet here at the end of the webinar where you can get a hold of us, and we will try to get you set up. So that's the map where we're currently doing business. Okay, so the household discount. This is a source of, I think, great benefit for you and me as agents in the sales field, and I'll tell you why. First off, let me go back to the map. Keep your eye on Ohio and New Jersey, because there are some different guidelines for the household discount in those two states, Ohio and New Jersey. Okay, so this is a household discount, not a husband and wife discount. So in other words, you could have a man living with his sister or a brother or a lifelong partner, civil union partnership. It could be maybe an adult grandchild living with their grandparent. They would qualify for the discount. And here's the key. Only one person need to apply in every state on that map except for New Jersey and Ohio. So when you look at New Jersey and Ohio, two people have to apply. They both have to be approved to get the household discount. The household discount is 7%. So as an example, let's say you're sitting there talking to a 65-year-old gentleman or a lady, and their husband or partner is 60 years old. In every state except Ohio and New Jersey, you would still be able to reduce their premium by an additional 7% based on the rate sheet you're looking at. One person has to apply. So that's a huge benefit, and we can use that as a leverage to go ahead and get them to make the decision to enroll in the IAC Medicare supplement. Here's another situation that I've run into countless times in the last 30 years of selling Medicare supplement insurance. I don't know how many times I've ran into a situation to where one of the spouses or one of the individuals applying was in good health and the other was in very bad health. So now, by only having one person apply to get the discount, that is a very good closing tool for you and I when we're in the field. I don't know how many times I've heard, well, if you can't insure me, I don't want to move either, or if you can't insure my wife or whatever, whichever one of them's sick. But now we have the comeback as well. Mr. Jones, I know I can't help your wife. However, since you are married, I can go ahead and give you a 7% household discount here today and reduce your premium even further than what we're looking at. So it's a great, great closing tool, and it helps the buyer make a decision. Just so you know, IAC is offering 4 different plans in most every state. There's some states that we have to offer a plan C and I think a D, but most states the primary products are plan A, F, G as in girl, N as in Nancy. So we got a good product offering out for you, and the household discount applies to every one of those products. So just remember, when you see the map here, Ohio and New Jersey, 2 people have to apply if that's where you're selling or where you're marketing at. In all the other states that are on that map, only one person need apply. Also, just recently, Utah, Illinois, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Maryland came on board, and we are now able to write new business on those guys. Kentucky and Ohio on Monday, which is 11/24, we will be able to accept new business in those 2 states. So they just got recently approved. So it takes us about a week once a state approves the rates and the applications. Then we have to take that to the print shop and get the supplies going. So give us about a week. But in Kentucky and Ohio, you can start writing business there on November the 24th. Okay, so let's move right along here. I know we're running out of time here. I want to talk a little bit about the submission of new business. Should you want to submit a business face-to-face, which is what I grew up with. I didn't have cell phones back in 1984 that I know of. Or you can do it through a call center setting. I was in Ohio yesterday visiting with a 200-seat call center. They are extremely impressed with what we showed them up there on how they can submit business, because one of the big things for call centers is if they write a piece of business, how long does it take to get issued? When they found out we could do it on the phone call, there you could just see like the lights going off. It's like, you're kidding. I could get a policy number right at the end of this. You guys will mail that and send the commission directly to here. They said, that's really what we're looking for. So that's a lot of people up there making phone calls, outbound phone calls. So face-to-face or call center settings are the two different ways to submit business. I want to talk a little bit about what Kristen was talking about, though, about the telephonic application process, and let you know kind of how that will affect you. The benefits of the telephonic application process is just what I was telling you about, what they were so happy about up there, is you get immediate results on a sale. So imagine sitting there, you're at the end of the month, say it's the 28th or 29th day of November, and you're sitting there talking to XYZ prospect, and they said, we just got a notification that our rates are going up 20% in December. And here it is, the 28th day of November. Imagine you've already pre-qualified them and you're pretty sure they are going to qualify for the IAC Medicare supplement. You've already went through the health questions, you've pre-qualified them, you've checked their medication. Imagine being able to pick up the telephone, call the underwriting department, get your underwriting or get your agent information out of the way and some brief information on the policyholder. Then the policyholder gets on the telephone and they start verifying information. They start asking the health questions. They verify the medications. They verify the bank information. And then when that phone comes back to you, they'll the client's talking to the underwriter and say, okay, Ms. Jones, I need to talk to your agent. They hand that phone back to you and they say to you, Bill, your policyholder's approved. Here is your policy number. What I always do is I always put the speakerphone on at that point because I want the policyholder to hear the immediate results of them being approved and what their policy number is, so that if I'm doing face-to-face or phone calling, they don't have any buyer's remorse. They know they're approved. When the phone call's over or when I walk out the door, they don't think, well, I wonder if I'm going to get approved. I'll bet I get declined. That stuff's over with. That's a time saver for your client, and that is a huge time saver for you and I as agents. If I'm going to get a decline, I would rather know about it right then, right there on the spot, so that I could maybe reach into my sales kit or change horses and go maybe to a lesser restrictive policy or application that's not, as hard on underwriting, like an AARP or something like that. But it gives me another chance to place a piece of business, and if I'm doing face-to-face, that means I don't have to drive back 2 weeks later, try to get back in the house. I already got I got a decline. I know I've got to do something different. It's a lot easier for me to change horses while I'm sitting there talking to the person than it is 2 weeks later when he says, well, I appreciate you trying to help me, but I'll probably get declined, and I was getting nervous. I just went ahead and paid my other premium. So I always say if I'm going to get a decline, I want to know about it right now while I'm talking to them, because it makes my life easier for me to be of benefit to that policyholder. One of the things that most agents aren't interested in is getting paid quick. Just like Tristan said, a policy on a telephonic app, we get that policy issued and out the door in about a day and a half. So that means we've drafted premium. So if we've drafted premium and it cleared the bank, guess who gets paid? You and I. A huge benefit for us as far as getting money in the agent's pockets. Another thing that over 30 years, less mistakes on the application. Now, if you're out there listening and you've never made a mistake on an application, I want you to call me after this is over. I make them all the time when I'm working for some other companies, but I'm here to tell you, with the telephonic app, it's a mistake-free process. About the only mistake could be is if they keyed a letter in their name, spelled their name wrong or something like that. That could always happen. But what I'm saying, it's not something that's going to require you to make another 30-minute trip to get a signature on something. The underwriting department, as Tristan was explaining, they can't move from part 1 of the application to part 2 unless every required field is actually filled out, and then they can move on to part 2, part 3, part 4. But if there's something missing, they have to go back and get it. They'll get a red flag up there, and they'll tell them exactly what it is that they need to go back and ask. So less mistakes on an application means less travel for you and me and more money in our pocket as far as lost time. Okay, the face-to-face process, all you do, guys, is call 888-352-5158. You'll complete the agent process. They'll ask you your name, your agent writing number is Tristan, address. Go ahead and move through this pretty quick because it's already been covered. They're always going to verify once you give them your agent number if there's any licensing issues. That's more of an issue for people that are doing telephonic sales. Most agents, if they, like myself, I'm domiciled in Missouri. I always know if my Missouri license is due, but if I've got licenses in Texas and Illinois and Colorado, I don't keep track of all that. And a lot of times these companies will send those out 60 days in advance, and I'm kind of tight, so I don't pay those until they're actually due. And sometimes I forget to pay them. So that just lets the underwriter know, if you're doing multiple states that you're licensed in, that those licenses are current and up to date. They're going to ask the name, the effective dates, bank draft dates, basically going right down through the policy or down the application. Just it's that simple. They're going to ask you, do you want that sent to you or the client? I always have it come to me. I'd like to verify it. It gives me a chance to pick up the policy and call the client. A lot of people don't. They don't want to pay the expense of mailing that on. So that's your choice. We don't care. It's up to you. You pick and choose. And if you pick one way, you don't have to stick with it. You can do it on a per policy basis. They'll ask you the city and state the application's taken in, the name of the carrier if you are replacing. They will get that information, and then that will let them move on from you to the client. They'll say at that time, okay, Bill, put the policyholder on the phone. And again, guys, they're going to go through all of this information. They're going to ask all the basics, the personal information, what their current insurance situation is. Are they turning 65? Are they currently on a group plan? Do they have a Medicare Advantage going back to original Medicare? Everything that you see on any insurance company's application is part 2 on verifying plan selection. In other words, we are filling out an application, and that application will be neatly typed and in the back of the policy when it goes out the door. So they're going to do all the Medicare eligibility information, the general information. Very important that you cover the general information, because they will ask your policyholder and you, did you go over the general information? I think it's located on page 3 of the application. So what they're asking you there is you do not need more than 1 Medicare supplement. If you choose to buy this policy, you may want to evaluate your current existing insurance to make sure you don't have double coverage or duplicate coverages. And then there's 3, 4, 5, and 6 addresses their concerns should they become eligible for Medicaid sometime during the ownership of this policy. They have certain rights and guarantees. So always address that with your policyholder. You're going to be on the phone or face-to-face with them. Just say, when they ask you, did you read the general information, the correct answer is always yes. They'll verify guarantee issue eligibility. They'll verify the household premium discount. That was a little section I showed you earlier to where you fill out and you check yes and the information that's asked there. At that point, now here this is key, if you're doing a 3-way call or if you're doing a face-to-face, either one. If you're sitting there and they're asking them the medications, that's one of the last things they ask after the medical questions. If they say, okay, hand the phone back to your agent, you know you got a problem. You know you're going to get a decline at that point. If they don't verify premium and admin that, then you know there's an issue. You need to be looking in your kit for something else. But if you hear them going over bank routing information and account number, you know that policy is going to issue. Then there's the agreement acknowledgement. That's where they're going to read the fraud and disclosure warnings. Lost it the first time I heard them tell them they were going to put my policyholder in prison, but guys, that's right above where they sign the application, and we're supposed to read that to them, and they will go over all of that. And I always let my client know they're going to read that, and not to worry, we're not going to come and put them in an insurance prison. So anyway, just cover that with them, and once you guys do this, the telephonic app process, I assure you, you'll want to do it more than once because it is a huge time saver and very, very convenient for us as agents. Okay, underwriting for diabetics, basically put, I'm going to move right past this. I think right here is what I really want you to see. People with diabetes that have ever required more than 50 units of insulin are not eligible for coverage. People with diabetes, in other words, it's diet controlled, insulin dependent, or treated with oral medications, who also have one or more complicating conditions listed in question 6 on the application are not eligible. We're talking about diabetic retinopathy, tingling in the hands or the feet. They want to know if there's any eye problems with diabetics. So you can ask these additional questions right here. Do you have any eye or vision problems? Do you have any numbness or tingling in your toes or your feet? That's called neuropathy. They will be very aware of that. If they're treating for that, then we're not going to issue that policy. If you ever go on the AMA website, guys, you'll find diabetics are about 2 times more expensive to treat than non-diabetics. So if you hit a policyholder that's taking metformin and blood pressure medicine, as long as they're not taking 2 or more of the, or more than 2 of those, there's still a good chance that that policy will be issued. So it says a case is considered, I'm reading, it says consideration for coverage may be given to those persons with well-controlled cases of hypertension and diabetes. You remember Tristan referring back to the 2-year stability on the medications. It says a case is considered to be well-controlled if the person is taking no more than 2 oral medications for diabetes and no more than 2 medications for hypertension. So they could be taking 2 diabetic medications, 2 hypertension medications. As long as that's well controlled, they'll still issue the policy. That's not an automatic decline. So if they're taking insulin and 1 oral medication. That would be the same as 2 oral medications. So you can even write an insulin-dependent diabetic, say that they are taking 30 units of insulin in the morning and 10 at night, as long as they're not taking more than 50. So you got an insulin-dependent diabetic, and they're taking medication for blood pressure. Still got a shot at getting those people issued. So if you have, where this is at right here, guys, this form right here where I was reading that's right near the underwriting guide. So that's also on the IAC agent portal is the underwriting guide. You can always refer back to that, and that'll give you some idea of whether you do or do not have a good shot of putting this piece of business through. Okay, face-to-face, pretty simple. Now that policy comes back to you, and the application is complete, and the policy gets issued. So, guys, that's a huge benefit. Now, the call centers, I'm going to go through this pretty quick because I'm running out of time here. The process is the same as the face-to-face method. You got a 3-way phone call. You get to stay on the phone the entire time when you're doing a call center type situation. So you get to hear what the underwriter says to the policyholders. You can always help with questions that do not pertain to HIPAA. When it comes to health, medications, you got to let the policyholders answer them themselves. You can't help them with those. You can prepare your client, but do not coach. When I say that, prepare yourself. Make sure you make the sale before you call the tele-underwriting department. The underwriter will not sell the policy for you. That's not their job. That's ours. What I'm referring to is if you get a policyholder on there and says, well, now my current policy does this, and they start doing that 3 or 4 times, the underwriter's probably going to pass the phone back to you and have you address a few of those things and then call back. Now, if that should ever happen, it's never happened to me, but I'm saying if it does happen, you don't have to go through the entire process. Once you call back, you'll start right where you left off, so you don't have to go through the whole 20-minute process leading up to that. Okay. Make the sale before you call. Make sure your client can hear. It's always a good deal. If they can't, what I always do is I tell the underwriter, I say, you know, Tristan, I'm sitting here with Mary Jones, and she's got a hearing aid, but still sometimes she doesn't hear well, and at that point the underwriter will, of course, slow down and speak a little louder so that helps that policyholder hear the questions. Always have these things ready. I think you can see kind of why if I ask the policyholder to get their Medicare number and they have to get up and go get it, and then I ask for the banking information, they have to get up and go get it, and then I talk about their medication and their doctor's name. Every time they have to go get something like that, that slows the process down. It frustrates you as an agent. It frustrates the policyholder. So this is what we call kind of a cheat sheet. That way the policyholder, this is how we prepare the client. These are the things that are going to transpire. Make sure that stuff's readily available. On the medications, I always just have them read it right off their pill bottle, and that just seems to help out a lot. So prepare the client, and the interview will go very smoothly. The replacement form right now, you can fax that to 385-207-7882. And remember, let the policyholder answer the questions themselves when it comes to health information or medication. You can always help out with address, things like that. So in review, policy gets issued over the telephone. You get a policy number right after the phone call. That saves everybody time and money. We always say, yes, you can still use paper applications. There's nothing stating that you cannot use paper. And the app is taken and issued in every policy. And the things that I like and you like, especially at this time of year, commissions get paid quickly. Okay, so guys, there's the tele-underwriting hours. They're open 12 hours every day in every time zone, Monday through Thursday, 11 hours in every time zone on Fridays. And again, the numbers right there are below for the tele-underwriting number and the fax number. And guys, you can always get that, call in, and we'll send it to you. Okay, there is the IAC contact information. If you want that, let us know. We will fax it to you, and that way you can have that printed off and handy for your review. That way if you have new business questions, you know the number to call. If you have claims, there's a mailing address or a fax number, premium right down at the bottom, and I think you'll find this a very helpful little piece of information. Okay, I am your presenter. My name is Bill Ellsworth. I got Todd Weiss as our Regional Sales Director. Cindy Hales does the license. And supplies can be handled on the agent website and through Amber Nevin. She will help you with that. So I believe that was the last slide. It was. Rashawn, do we have the ability to take questions on this, or have they pretty well been answered?
Hey, Bill, most of the questions have been answered, but a couple people did ask about the replacement notice if they're selling over the phone. I think you went over that already, but can you talk about how you handle that when you sell over the phone and you need to sign a replacement notice?
Yes. Let me go back to that. Where was my number for that? Right here is a sheet that's got the somewhere on there, maybe that's, yeah, new business fax. That's where you would fax a replacement notice, 385-207-7882. And what I do, guys, if I'm selling it over the telephone and there's a replacement notice, I tell my policyholder, it amazes me how many people on Medicare, regardless of their age, whether they're 65 or 75 or 80, how many people have email anymore and use their computer on a regular basis. You can scan that, send it to them. They can print it off, sign it, and send it back to you. Just give them some instruction, and that way they can, or you can just tell them where to mail it. They can mail it directly to the contact sheet there for agency services, or where am I at here? Policy owner services. I mean, send it to that address, 3270 Salt Lake City, Missouri, so, or Salt Lake City, Utah. But yeah, the replacement notice on a three-way call. That's the only process that really slows the tele-app process down. But as Tristan was addressing, that's going to be solved for you guys very shortly to where you don't have to worry about that. I'll do another webinar when that's available to show you how to go about doing that online through IAC. And I think you're going to love what you see. But for right now, the replacement notice, or if you're in Illinois, the Illinois checklist has to be signed. That's the only two wet signatures that we ever have to have. If you're doing open enrollment or guarantee issue, no replacement form needed. But on a fully underwritten case, we do have to have that signed, and you guys will have at least 2 weeks to get that done. So some agents will just hard mail it to them with a addressed envelope back to the insurance company. Say, here, just sign this and send it in. You can do it that way, but that is one thing that we have to have. So hopefully that answers the guys' questions. Anything else, Todd?
That is it, Bill.
All right, guys. Took a little bit longer than I expected, but we really, really appreciate you joining us. Take a look at IAC. They are going to be a strong player in the Medicare supplement market for 2015, one of the top companies out there price-wise, benefit-wise, and they have a great back office selected. So with that said, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Take care. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you the next time. Thank you. Bye.